Welcome back, everyone. Today's video is a sequel to a video I made called Proof Evolution is an Evil Lie from Satan. Like any good sequel, this one should be more interesting, bigger, better, and far more profound than the last one. I wanted to take a moment to thank my 600 plus subscribers for taking the time to faithfully watch my videos and encourage me to make this. I've been out of the loop for a while, so here's my return. I'll be making some videos over the next few weeks. Let's get right into this. Transitional fossils are what we should be able to find between species or kinds of animals. Basically, we should be able to see what became a monkey, and then from a monkey to a human. And some people are going to say, okay, Piltdown Man and the Neanderthal Man, they've all been proven to be hoaxes, but I'm not going to, show you that, because you can look it up yourself. Just Google it. Say Google, .com, and then go Neanderthal hoax, or Piltdown Man hoax, or Lucy hoax. Like, oh man, either they're fully human, or they're fully ape, or it's like a ape skull with a, like a human jaw sawn down and sanded to fit. Like, utterly ridiculous what evolutionists are trying to do to make it seem like we evolved, which we didn't. But let's step away from monkeys to humans. We should be able to find evolution in every species, because if evolution's true, every form of life came from every other form of life. So, why can't we find transitions between one form of life to another? What did the first elephant come from? What did the first bird come from? You know what I mean? Like, that kind of stuff is what we're looking for. However, evolutionists will admit no such transitional forms have been found. On CNN, front page news, the T-Rex is proven to be the great ancestor of the modern-day chicken. Okay, so this is, what evolutionists are claiming. They looked at the genetic code and they saw similarities and they said, wow, the T-Rex is the ancestor of the chicken. Okay. According to evolutionists, didn't the dinosaurs go extinct 65 million years ago? So let me get this straight. A comet, or a meteor, or an ice age, or something selectively destroyed all the dinosaurs, but the chickens survived. In his book, Origin of Species, Darwin himself admitted that at the time of writing, the fossils discovered made it look like a series of acts of creation between each main order of life. Although he urged people to look for links between them, he also admitted that if no such links were discovered, then his theory would be incorrect. It therefore makes no sense whatsoever that man should unearth thousands of fossils every year representing highly developed and sophisticated life forms, and yet mysteriously there are no intermediates, no half-developed life forms discovered between layers. No matter how much digging around we do, there really is no back door away from this issue. In fact, so much of evolution's credibility depends on this starting issue. Nothing in this belief system even begins to carry any weight whilst the anomaly exists. Let's let the evolutionists put their own feet in their mouths. Charles Darwin, the guy who supposedly invented evolution, it was Satan, but this is the first man who actually appropriated the theory. Charles Darwin was worried that the fossil record did not show what his theory predicted. Quoting from Charles, "Why is not every geological formation and every stratum full of such intermediate links? Geology assuredly does not reveal any such finely graduated organic chain, and this is the most obvious and serious objection which can be urged against the theory." The late Dr. Colin Patterson, senior paleontologist of the British Museum of Natural History, wrote a book, Evolution. In reply to a questioner who asked about this very same issue, about transitional fossils, he wrote, this is quoting Dr. Colin Patterson, "I fully agree with your comments about the lack of direct illustration of evolutionary transitions in my book. If I knew of any, fossil or living, I would certainly have included them. I will lay it on the table. There is not one such fossil for which one could make a watertight argument." A renowned evolutionist named Stephen Jay Gould wrote, "The absence of fossil evidence for intermediary stages between major transitions in organic design, indeed our inability, even in our imagination, to construct functional intermediates in many cases, has been a persistent and nagging problem for gradualistic accounts of evolution." Poor baby. There's a man on YouTube named Rabid Ape, and he claims that we can use retroviruses to prove that we came from apes. If you haven't heard what a retrovirus is, it is a dormant virus within our DNA which we pass to our children, which we inherited from our parents. We can use it to trace the fact that we all came from the same origin. However, apes have the same retrovirus as humans, and I guess that proves we came from apes, right?
Wrong.
We have ears. Apes have ears. Maybe we came from apes. I mean, I guess it never occurred to Rabbit Ape that we are both land-dwelling creatures, that we both occupy the same air, we have largely the same diet. I mean, maybe, just maybe, we contracted the same virus. Or, even worse, maybe there are other land-dwelling animals that have the same retrovirus. I mean, if a kangaroo, or a rat, or an ostrich turned out to have the same retrovirus as a human, does that mean we came from an ostrich? No. Sorry, your theory is stupid. Let's talk about fossils and how you make a fossil. You can only make a fossil if you bury it under a lot of pressure. I mean, let's do a little experiment. Have you ever bought a chicken? Just a dead chicken? Why don't you put it in your backyard? You can even chain it down if you'd like. As you watch it decompose over the following few days, you will realize that wind, rain, just weather, and other animals are going to pick apart the body, and eventually, within weeks, the bones will be spread out and there'll be no chicken left. You can't create a fossil by just leaving a dead body on the ground. The forces that will destroy that body. There'll be nothing left to fossilize. The only way you can fossilize something is if you bury it rapidly. And the only thing that could have possibly buried all those dinosaurs and all the creatures that we find scattered around the world is a flood. A great flood. A flood of galactic, well, worldly proportions, which is exactly what the Bible records. About 4,400 years ago, there was a flood. You've all heard the story of Noah's Ark, and it is the only compatible reasoning for why we find so many fossilized creatures of such enormous proportions. But we're going to talk about natural selection for a bit, and then we're going to talk about vestigial organs, which I touched upon in my earlier video. Natural selection, according to its name, can only select. That's why it's called natural selection. Nothing new is ever added to the genetic code through natural selection, yet evolutionists will claim that evolution works through natural selection. That is a lie. I have a cat behind me, I think you can see it. It's an orange and white cat. Its parents were probably orange and white. Perhaps the mother was white and the father was orange. I don't know. What happened was, the natural selection took the orange and the white and created my cat. He didn't turn out purple. There was no purple to work with. So, natural selection can only select from what is already there, thus its name. Nothing new is ever added, thus evolution could not possibly come through natural selection. It's never been observed. New information cannot come from simply selecting from what is already there. Allow me to give you an example. If I take a CD and I copy it, and then I take the copy of the CD and I copy that, and then I copy the copy of the copy, and copy the copy of the copy of the copy, and do that unto the 100th or 1000th generation, you're not going to be able to read the CD anymore. It's the same if you take a photocopier, photocopy a piece of paper, photocopy it, and then photocopy the photocopy, and photocopy the photocopy of the photocopy. Eventually it just fades out. We are losing information. We are inferior to how our parents were and how their parents were. We are getting worse and worse. We're not getting better and better, which is why we have molars that don't have room for it in our jaw. We used to be bigger, we used to be smarter. And vestigial organs, which we were just talking about, are not proof of evolution, they're proof of devolution. Losing an organ is not evolution, it's losing. So, let's tie up some loose ends. I'm actually going to end this video with an address to Satan. Kind of strange, but yes, I'm talking to Satan. I know he's watching this video. He hates when I talk about how much I hate his theory and expose it for what it is, and I have seen the venom of demonized people trying to attack me in all kinds of ways. I'm not even going to show you guys. In fact, I censor my comments so you can't see what I have to put up with. However, if you go to some of the other videos, the video responses I get where people comment about me openly, you'd think that I, was a murderer or worse. So, I've done nothing to justify the kind of bitter hatred that I get towards me. It's utterly ridiculous, all because I'm telling people that they didn't come from monkeys, that there's a meaning to life, and that God is going to judge the world in righteousness. They can't handle that. And I can understand, I used to believe in evolution. I used to think, I was my own God, and I could make my own, decisions about right and wrong, but I was wrong. So, there it is. And as for you, Satan, I censor the comments, so there's nothing you can do. You might as well give up.